I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Ivan Soto-Wright, the CEO and co-founder of MoonPay. Ivan, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time to be here today.
Thanks, Ashton. Excited to be here.
I'm excited for you to be here and to talk about MoonPay. Your team is really growing a lot recently, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more. And I would love to start with an overview and the focus and the vision of MoonPay, and then we can dive into the details.
Sure. So in really simple terms, we are here to make crypto accessible to 1 billion people by 2030. MoonPay, you can kind of think of it as that passport to the crypto economy. We connect your identity, we connect payments and crypto asset delivery in one seamless solution. We connect to everything in the legacy financial system. So primarily, a lot of people use MoonPay with their debit and credit card, but our ambition is to cover every single payment method across every single geography, and doing that with the very best conversion and customer experience possible.
Wow, and that's very ambitious, and but I think now is the time to be doing this because it's well needed, and there's a lot of advantages to it. And maybe you can talk about there have been people that have been working on payment processors trying to integrate crypto into e-commerce and just into payments in general for a few years. But right now seems the best time as ever to be growing in this space. Can you talk about what makes MoonPay unique, and do you have a competitive advantage or something that makes it different from other digital transaction platforms?
Yeah, so this is an important distinction to make. So obviously there's crypto for commerce where, once you have your cryptocurrency, you can send it to anyone over the blockchain peer-to-peer. Really what MoonPay is doing is it's helping customers get their first cryptocurrency. So most people interact with MoonPay if they're inside of a major cryptocurrency wallet. We work with companies like Bitcoin.com and Trust Wallet and Zengo, Argent Wallet. All of these wallets essentially are the first kind of touch point when people want to buy their first cryptocurrency and acquire it, so they can then send it or use it across a wide variety of applications in the crypto economy. So really MoonPay is that kind of trusted interface for that customer to get their crypto quickly. And really, I think the kind of light bulb in my head went off in terms of, if you think about it, most people aren't used to buying cryptocurrency or buying anything really on an exchange. Exchanges, the bar charts and the candlestick charts, I'd say there's definitely an audience that's sophisticated and that's really geared and tailored towards, but I would say vast majority of people just want to have simple, easy exposure and getting their first crypto. And we try to make that process as simple as possible. So I think in terms of the way that we think of ourselves in the market, obviously convenience and ease of use is absolutely critical. And then followed by that, conversion, right? One of the biggest challenges where we found when we first entered the market is really trying to build an experience where when you're trying to use your debit and credit card, it gets accepted. And so we have a whole system of logic and smart order routing that we do in order to try to boost that conversion rate and make sure that you get your crypto on your first try.
Definitely, and I appreciate that. And throughout North America, at some time, there was issues with credit cards trying to purchase cryptocurrency, and I find has been an issue in the past. And you mentioned that your ambitious goal of having all payment types globally across the world, and I think that's great. And I'm curious to know, is your team decentralized, or are you guys based somewhere, and is the platform already available globally, or did you start primarily servicing the area around your team and then you're growing out from there?
So taking us back to the mission, we want to bring 1 billion new people into the space. Ultimately the rationale is once we're in the crypto economy, we have tons of efficiencies. I think in the long term, we're not there quite yet. I would say I describe it as we're kind of in the dial-up phase. Eventually we get to fiber optic and you're going to be able to use your crypto for payments. Transaction costs, I think over the long term, are going to tend towards zero. And there's all these amazing applications that you can take advantage of once you're in crypto. And so to kind of get to that ambition of 1 billion people, we thought, okay, what is the fastest way to get there? And the way you're going to do that is you need to connect to the legacy financial system. And for us, we started with debit and credit cards, primarily Visa and MasterCard debit and credit cards, because they were already available worldwide. And so we knew that if we could support debit and credit cards first, we'd be able to operate in a number of different countries. And so we're now in about 160 countries that support MoonPay today. And now we're starting to fill out more and more local payment methods. So obviously in some countries, debit and credit card penetration isn't as high. And so local bank transfers or e-transfers or other payment systems are going to be more popular. And so for us, it's extremely data driven, just looking at country by country, what are the payment methods that we need to support. So we've done it in Europe and UK. We have local bank transfers. It's pretty popular. We also take advantage of something called open banking, where you kind of log in with your bank account, which is great because ultimately, if you're paying through your bank account, the fees are much cheaper than using your debit and credit card. Very soon, we'll launch into the United States as well, and more geographies towards the end of the year.
Definitely good to know. And yeah, it's great to have those low fees, especially if you're making multiple transactions. And there's people that are starting to not use credit cards because of those fees. And I think once they see how easy the crypto is, then they're just going to be using that full time. So I'm really excited for that kind of adoption.
And also to go back to your question in terms of our team, yeah, we're globally distributed. So we have people in about 25 different countries and cities around the world. And I think we were kind of forced to be that way. We have customers obviously in all these different countries. And so having people that are able to speak the language for some of those different geographies when we're dealing with customer support tickets, but also just kind of understanding the diversity of experience that you need to appeal to this kind of wide kind of mainstream audience. So we really pride ourselves on our diversity in terms of our talent. And I think, we're uniquely enabled today. We were actually globally distributed remote before, obviously the pandemic, but I think the pandemic has really opened up everyone's world into kind of remote working. But I think it's the future of work. People can be more efficient with their time. They can have autonomy, more autonomy over their personal life, which I think is, really important. There's a lot of time wasted, I think, commuting, not good for the environment. And so, we really pride ourselves on trying to push the boundary of building a company that can operate successfully remotely.
25 countries. Wow. Very cool, Ivan. And you spoke about connecting into the UK, now starting to move into places where it's not just Visa and MasterCard, and getting with local banks and getting e-transfers, especially in underdeveloped and underbanked countries where crypto may have the most benefit. And I'm curious, because you're doing fiat on and off ramps, and it's not just crypto, there's also regulatory and compliance dealing with money. Can you talk about any of the hurdles you've had to jump through, or the compliance factor of getting into all these different jurisdictions and having to deal with different laws in different geographies?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, global regulatory compliance in our DNA from day one. We knew, we wanted to be a business that's going to operate over the long term. And so we would find regulated partners for every single jurisdiction in which we operate. We made sure we have legal opinions for every region that we operate. But now, as the company has really started to scale, we started to acquire our own regulatory stack. So part of it is obviously you want to get to market quickly. So partners can help you enable that at certain geographies. So we've taken advantage of those partnerships. But now, kind of given the size and scale of the business, I'd say this year a big focus of ours is bringing that entire regulatory umbrella in-house. So I think it's obviously interesting. There's different nuances for different parts of the world around how they treat cryptocurrencies. Certain countries ban it. Certain countries are proactive and have kind of safe and smart regulation. Really, I think a lot of it is around how to combat money laundering and these components. And it's important to have a safe and smart AML program. But there's a balance. You don't want to hurt your user experience, but you also want to make sure that you're in compliance with the rules. And the rules are really there. Governments are putting those in place to try to make it safer for people to interact in this environment. And I think, crypto got a bad rep to start. I think a lot of people equated it with the Silk Road and the illicit transactions that have happened there. But I actually think cryptocurrency and the data kind of supports this is far safer, right? Essentially in terms of bad illicit activity, we're talking under 1%, which is less than the existing fiat sources of money. So I think we're coming a long way to moving people to get more comfortable with cryptocurrency, that it's not scary and it's something that you can use, and there's actually real utility and value for using cryptocurrency.
Definitely, and well said, Ivan. I think not enough people reiterate that the amount of fraudulent activity and money laundering is under 1%, and there's a lot of perfectly legal and perfectly valid transactions going through. And I'm curious, just to further extend on that, because it's not 0%. There is the chance of that kind of stuff happening. And also just fraudulent transactions, chargebacks, times where transactions needed to be reversed. And on the fiat side, that's easy, but on the crypto side, not so much. Is that something that MoonPay has had to deal with? And how does your company deal with that if any sort of thing like that happens with transactions?
Yeah, so it's obviously one of the biggest challenges when you're kind of interacting, with fiat and crypto, because with fiat, as you mentioned, it can be reversible in the form of a chargeback, or you can call your bank and say, hey, I didn't make this transaction. Whereas with cryptocurrency, it's kind of delivery is final. So we're typically on the receiving end of this a lot, where a customer might make a transaction, we will deliver the crypto, and at that point, once we deliver the crypto, it's final. So we're actually taking on that liability and risk. And one of the things that we do is we're a B2B company, so we're offering this retail infrastructure to wallets, to exchanges, and other applications. And one of the big headaches that we take away is guaranteeing that risk of chargeback. So we eat that risk completely. A lot of that comes down to using smart data, smart analytics to make better decisions around the customers that you bring on to the platform, to make sure that they're using the platform in the right way. I think it's just something, obviously, you're going to have that tension where you're dealing with this final system. But I think in the long term, really, the beautiful thing about cryptocurrency is it's taking a lot of the pain and cost out of reconciliation. Which is what is really expensive for kind of the legacy financial system to deal with today. So I think the fact that cryptocurrency is final brings with it a lot of benefits. Obviously, there are some exceptional cases where there are scams and these type of things, where someone might ask someone to enter a bunch of information, which they then try to input onto our platform. We do a lot of things to prevent that type of stuff. We have 3D liveness checks. We do as much as possible to make it a safe experience for the customer. If a customer tries to buy a large amount, we'll put up warnings to help them, prevent them from falling victim to a scam. But they do happen, and in those cases, we try to work with the customer to resolve that with the local authorities if it's a crime that's been committed.
Mm-hmm. That's really good to know, Ivan. And I'm curious, moving forward, your team is already growing and you're moving into all these new jurisdictions. Can you give a glimpse into the next 6 months throughout the summer of 2021? What are some of the milestones that you're looking to hit and grow the platform?
Yeah, so this is a huge year for us. We've seen a tremendous amount of growth and obviously interest in crypto. We've had an incredible event with I think a watershed moment for the industry with Coinbase recently going public. So there's just much more awareness around crypto, but not just crypto, also NFTs. I think that's also been really fascinating to see, because people start to understand these different applications within the crypto economy, and I consider NFTs to be one of those buckets. I would say our focus will continue to be making sure that we build the very best experience for our customers and partners, making sure that we build the very best conversion focused solution when you're trying to go from these legacy payment methods into the crypto economy. I'd say the other kind of big focus and pushes for the business is we're starting to look at other enterprise use cases. So you have traditional fintechs that are saying, hey, we'd like to offer crypto exposure to our customers. They have million plus customer bases that their customers could be interested in interacting with crypto. So to offer that as a service and easy rails that they can plug into our APIs, we see that as a big area of growth. Also, the other area that we've recently announced is we've built a solution specifically tailored towards NFTs. We think the NFT marketplace is going to be really big. We're still really early days. Obviously, we're in in any kind of new technology cycle, you have an excitement, and sometimes you might even classify it as a mania cycle. And right now, obviously, there's a ton of demand, limited supply of some of these NFTs. And so I think that's obviously creating some interesting dynamics for that market. But obviously, I think there's going to be a need for a robust payment solution for NFTs to pay in and also pay out, especially creators that are monetizing these NFTs and want to get paid, making sure that they can do that in a compliant way, making sure that we can offer a seamless payout experience where they can redeem their NFT into dollars or a stable coin, and doing that within regulatory compliance, I think is going to be super important. So that's another area that we've really really double down on. And we've been working with some of the most amazing platforms. We power companies like OpenSea. We're working with Dapper. So really exciting stuff that's going on there. So a lot of it is obviously driven by our partners and their needs, but also, from our side, we just have this ambition to really cover all these payment methods and doing it well. So we'll continue to focus on that.
Definitely, and I'm glad that you mentioned that with NFTs. It's great to be able to power those marketplaces, and yeah, it is continuing to grow and it is reaching the mainstream, and I think it's getting more awareness about crypto to people that weren't interested in the financial aspect of it. Now it's opening up to collectibles and digital artwork and all these other facets, which is really exciting. So I'm glad that MoonPay is getting involved in that as well. And if there are viewers or businesses, enterprises, developers, anybody who's interested in learning more about MoonPay, what's the best way for them to get involved in the community and to learn more?
Yeah, so obviously you can head to moonpay.com. That's our kind of main website. We're active on Twitter and other social mediums as well, but you can reach out to us via moonpay.com. You can reach out to me at Ivan Soto-Wright. Pretty responsive in terms of DMs. Yeah, we really welcome anyone that's trying to look at offering mainstream rails to their customers and bringing more customers into crypto. Really excited to work with a wide range of projects. It's been super exciting from our side because some of these projects that we started with were tiny or just kind of getting started and had tremendous growth over the last year, and that's been really exciting to see and help enable that.
Very exciting, and I will leave those links in the description box below. Ivan, thank you so much for the time to talk about MoonPay, and let's follow up in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashton.